Hi, welcome to today's video diary for Finding My Way with Pi, Purpose, Intention, and Emotion. So I want to acknowledge that if you're following with me on this journey, there might be some uncomfortable moments. I feel it, and I'm thinking about how it must seem to experience it from your perspective. And watching just some moments that have such a raw processing of emotion, depending on, your own personality or patterns or how you were brought up or, any number of factors, beliefs, your own emotions, it can potentially be uncomfortable to watch those raw emotions. And then also I'm thinking about, connections that I have, whether it's friends, family, whoever. If you know me, maybe even it's more uncomfortable for you, as you want to make sure I'm okay and reach out. So I do want to share that, yes, I am okay. And that processing the emotions and the raw emotions of everything, it is uncomfortable. I'll admit it's uncomfortable, and it can be really challenging to do. It takes a hefty amount of vulnerability. It takes a hefty amount of being honest with yourself and maybe looking at some things that feel ugly. And it takes some acceptance for sure of the uncomfortable emotions. And, it's an interesting time to have decided to start doing Finding My Way with Pi. Who knew? Who knew what would come? Who knew what would be in life? And isn't that kind of the point? We don't always know. We don't always know what's going to be in life. So reflecting a little bit today, I want to think about, there's a concept and a thought process out there that is pretty popular when it comes to self-help and emotional well-being. And it is along the lines of think yourself happy, or, your beliefs and what you believe inside shape your reality. There's also emerging, and has been for quite some time now, but some emerging studies and evidence that the way you act, the way you move your body, and the behavior that you have informs your beliefs and your emotions. So it is interconnected, right? It's both. So I think it's good to pay attention to all of this. So one of the aha moments that I had with how I'm feeling, and particularly that I want to examine the time frame of, I keep saying, the last 4 years, and that's actually really relevant and significant, because if we think about what changed in those last 4 years, and now that I'm here in this journey and I'm feeling this way, what was that? Well, 4 years ago was pretty much the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to that, and it also was I pretty much got put into this role at work where I am right now at the same time. So prior to that, I was in a role where I was fully engaged. I felt like I was using my strengths every day, and the business was relying on, some of my work and some of my recommendations to help move some things forward in the business. I felt like my voice was heard. I felt valued. I had fun in my role. I had fun in my job. I had fun getting to interact with all the different people across the business. It was amazing. In fact, I even had a moment during that time period in my life where I said to my team, remember this moment. We have amazing, we can have this amazing moment. Let's be aware of it and mindful of it. And we know that sometimes it's just not always like this in our career. And we're recognizing it and being mindful in that moment. Fast forward, 2020, March 2020, COVID-19 we shift to working from home, like so many people shelter in place, lots of uncertainty, lots of stress, lots of depression, lots of loss. It also changed physically how I spent my days, like what my body was physically doing. So instead of being able up and walking around and interacting with people in the office, and my work was here with people in front of me, up and down stairs, walking lightly down the hallway, laughing as we go, lots of in-person interaction, all of that. It suddenly shifted to, I'm sitting by myself, I'm in this chair for 10 hours a day like this in front of meetings. Also around the same time, about 4 years ago, my role shifted and I became responsible for teams that were not on the same site as me. And I shifted from, internal organizational structure and strategic planning and projects and those types of things to being frontline service and client facing, which, service providers, if you've ever been a service provider of any kind, you know that you're not really able to express your emotions, but you get a lot of emotions from clients every day. And so we suppress a lot of emotions as service providers. And we really do need to have a release of those emotions. If we are not intentionally doing that, then we're bottling them up. I don't think let me just say, maybe I could have been better about releasing some of those emotions, but we've talked about some of the things I've suppressed over the years in prior videos, if you've been following me, so I won't rehash it now, but all of these things happened. Just talking about my personal experience and how I feel about my role and what changed. And I'm noticing, there's also been some other changes. I can't speak to all of them now, but let's just say culturally, some changes. I need to be vague about that to some degree, but let's just say culturally some changes so that the feeling of being heard or contributing, it just changes because the span of control gets so big, but there's not as much autonomy. So just some struggles there. So noticing a couple of things. First, I used to believe, prior to the 4 years, I used to believe that things were possible at work. I used to believe that my attitude and my actions could make a difference. And I saw that reflected back to me in, the outcomes and the results and interactions with coworkers, etc. I don't believe this anymore. I no longer believe that about my work. And my heart rate is always rocketed high. The stress is constant. I just don't, I guess, deep down believe that I don't believe I'm able to do what I want to do. And so I'm asking myself questions because I think that what we need to do, if we're curiously examining emotions and we're also trying to move forward and we're trying to get to a better state of well-being and whole being, we have to do that with some intentionality. And so I don't want to just wallow in the emotion, and it certainly has been cyclical and there's been some movement, and I've had some incredible learnings about myself through this whole process about talking about it. So I'm now asking myself, like, is this belief true that I don't believe things are possible at work and that my attitudes and actions don't make a difference? I believe that's true in many parts of my life, but not at work anymore. And now my question is, like, do I have control over this? Is that really just a matter of perspective, or is it the environment? Like, there's all kinds of things going through my head. And now I just, I have talked about some of the actions I'm going to do to think about bringing about change for myself, but there's just a couple of things, insights dear classmates as we picked apart a belief today. They were so gracious enough to help talk about some of this stuff. But, one thing is don't expect things to be the same as they used to be. Maybe I am having a little bit of an expectation there that I expected things to be the same as they used to be or potentially go back, which is interesting because, on the surface of my mind, I know that's not a reality. I know that's not a reality, but I do wonder if deep down I've got some expectation there or belief that it could be, and that is holding me back and suppressing me. Also, like if it becomes not a good fit anymore, it's okay to move on. Like one of my classmates shared, you get what you need when you need it in life. Things happen in life because you need that in life. And sometimes it feels like it's in our control and sometimes it feels like it's not. And he said, you leave when you need to leave and you'll know when that is. And it could still be a process, but you'll know. This whole concept of we are the architects of our reality. I'm landing somewhere in between. I believe we are the architects of our attitude to some great extent. We're the architects of our behaviors. We're the architects of who we want to be in the world. That takes practice, though, because there's an automatic thing that's going on in your mind and your body, often mindlessly. So it takes practice to mindfully be the architect of your world, who you want to be in the world. That's just part of the equation, being mindful of it and practicing daily, taking actions daily to be that person you want to be in the world, in your behavior and, your attitude and all of those things. And life happens and things are going to happen, even outside of your control. Nothing is static. Everything changes. It's all interconnected. And we need to give ourselves some grace. Like, I think I must have been putting some pressure on myself. Like, I messed this up somewhere along the way. I didn't architect my life appropriately for me to have whole being and well-being. And I think I need to let that go. I think I need to accept what is, accept the reality that things change because they need to, because they do. Nobody's going to control it or keep it static, and that it's not a reflection on me that I've failed in any way. It's that I'm growing and changing too, and so is the world. And sometimes, our paths will cross in a certain way, and sometimes they part ways. And okay. So I think it's a much healthier place to be intentionally and purposefully, journeying forth to find my way. And having been able to work through all of that and take a breath and let it go, acknowledge what I've been suppressing, acknowledge the negative emotions about all of it, and take a breath and let it go, is allowing me to open myself up to possibilities and to approach them with a clear heart and a clear head, and as mindfully and intentionally as possible, and to embrace the path and just see where it goes. I can only control what I can control, and the rest, let it flow. So that's where I'm at today. Just to reassure, you have seen some raw emotion, and that's, part of the vulnerability of finding my way with Pi. We all have that raw emotion, and we don't need to be afraid of it. And it is uncomfortable. And it's also okay. And through talking about it and processing it, I'm finding some incredible insights into myself, into my life, into what beliefs I had that were in there that I didn't know really consciously, and able to make some better decisions. So last thing I'm going to leave you with today is that I'm going to put what my professor calls priming words for myself. I'm going to, words or phrases, I'm choosing them for me, for what I need for my whole being. But I would encourage you to surround yourself with words as well that resonate for you, for your whole being, because it's there subconsciously when you see the words on the wall, and they're there to remind you of something. So here are mine. Love, patience, be here now, single task, play, my day is full of possibilities, attract, and practice makes awesome. I'm going to surround myself with those uplifting reminders of who I want to be intentionally in the world, and then embrace the path and let it unfold as I'm taking action in my life to find my way with purpose, intention, and emotion. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I hope it helps you too. I will see you tomorrow.